ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। 328 स्वधर्माचरणं शक्त्या विधर्माच्च निवर्तनम् दैवाल्लब्धेन सन्तोषा आत्मवित्तरणार्चनम्. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of the spiritual master. In this verse, there are many important words which could be very elaborately explained, but we shall briefly discuss the important aspects of each. The final statement is Atma, Atmavit Charanarchanam. Atmavit means a self-realized soul or bona fide spiritual master. Unless one is self-realized and knows what his relationship with the super soul is, he cannot be a bona fide spiritual master. Here it is recommended that one should seek out a bona fide spiritual master and surrender unto him, for by inquiring from him and worshipping him, one can learn spiritual activities. The first recommendation is Swadharma Charanam. As long as we have this material body, there are various duties prescribed for us. Such duties are divided by a system of 4 social orders: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These particular duties are mentioned in the Shastra and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. Pradharmacharanam means that one must discharge the prescribed duties of his particular division of society faithfully and to the best of his ability. One should not accept another's duty. If one is born in a particular society or community, he should perform the prescribed duties for that particular division. If, however, one is fortunate enough to transcend the designation of birth in a particular society or community by being elevated to the standard of spiritual identity, then his swadharma or duty is solely that of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The actual duty of one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness is to serve the Lord. As long as one remains in the bodily concept of life, he may act according to the duties of social convention. But if one is elevated to the spiritual platform, he must simply serve the Supreme Lord. That is the real execution of Sadharma. A similar purport is there in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 31. Swadharmam abhichaveksha na vikampitum arhati. So Krishna is saying you can't not do your duty and you should not do others' duties. And doing others' duties is sinful. And we should not doing our duties is also sinful. And one is that, right? And of course, we are confused because we are not following any varnashrama. We don't know if we are a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. We are engaged in some kind of vritti. Yeah, but then there are two things that have to be done to maybe compensate that. Because it's maybe sometimes or many a times difficult to figure out what vritti to engage in as per our mm, swabhava, nature. So it might be difficult to change. So what should be done? One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves. Suppose this work is not suitable for me, then maybe I will not perform so well in the work. Then maybe I will not get as much gain. But we should be satisfied with that. And second, which is not mentioned in this verse, but still we have discussed this multiple times, is to use that profit, that gain in the service of the Lord. In which case, it doesn't matter what kind of work we are engaged in. because it just becomes completely Krishna conscious activity, working for Krishna. But we should be satisfied with this. We should not over endeavor. As much gain as we achieve, we should be satisfied and we should not over endeavor. And importantly, also, one should worship the lotus feet of spiritual master. Worshipping the lotus feet of spiritual master simply means following his instructions. Gramya dharma nivrittischa moksha dharma ratistatha mita medhyadanam shashvat vivikta kshema sevanam. One should cease performing conventional religious practices and should be attracted to those who which lead to salvation. One should eat very frugally and should always remain secluded so that he can achieve the highest perfection of life. It is recommended herein that religious practice for economic development or the satisfaction of sense desire should be avoided. This is dharma, artha for kama, dharma for kama, or dharma for artha. Sorry, dharma for artha should be avoided. Religious practices should be executed only to gain freedom from the clutches of material nature. Spiritual activities. It is stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam that the topmost religious practice is that by which one can attain to the transcendent devotional service of the Lord without reason or cause. Savai pumsan paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratihata. That is a paradharma. Pumsam for human beings, paradharma is that which yato bhaktir adhokshaje, transcendental devotion service of the Lord. Ahituki apratihata. Such religious practice is never hampered by any impediments. It's not hampered by any impediments, be it bodily, mental, other situations, etc. That religious practice of bhakti should always continue. And by its performance, one actually becomes satisfied. Yayatma suprasidati. Atma, Prabhupada writes in one purport, Atma is not satisfied by any amount of material planning. Atma is not satisfied by any amount of material planning. When we are chanting, half of the times we are doing material planning, but that does not satisfy the Atma. And that is why that keeps going on. We are still continuing. See, simple thing. When we are not satisfied with something, we keep attempting that same activity again and again. So that's not satisfying. So again, we are trying for satisfaction, not getting. And when we get satisfied also, we keep trying the same activity so that we get more satisfaction. So it's better to engage in activities that satisfy us so that we can become more fully satisfied. But which is only bhakti, ahituki apratihata bhakti, but not material planning for tomorrow. All that is not going to satisfy the soul. Here, this is recommended as moksha dharma, religious practice for salvation or transcendence of the clutches of material contamination. Generally, people execute religious practice for economic development or sense gratification, but that is not recommended for one who wants to advance in yoga. So even coming to the path of bhakti, one is sadharana dharma, samanya dharma of this world, to engage in dharma for artha. That is not recommended. Even coming to bhakti, doing it for artha is not recommended. You have to simply do it for the pleasure of Krishna. That's all. The next important phrase is mita medhyadanam, which means that one should eat very frugally. It's recommended in the Vedic literature that a yogi eat only half what he desires according to his hunger. Okay, I had not heard this before. Of course, Ayurveda says this because half of it is water. Yeah, but I had not read this. I had not noticed this in Prabhupada's purport. So we have to eat half of what he desires. If one is so hungry that he could devour 1 pound of foodstuff, instead of eating 1 pound, he should consume only half a pound and supplement this with 4 ounces of water. 1/4 of the stomach should be left empty for passage of air in the stomach. If one eats in this manner, he will avoid indigestion and disease. The yogi should eat in this way, as recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam and all other standard scriptures. Yogi should live in a secluded place where his yoga practice will not be disturbed. Okay. So this one little bit we have to, this is okay for a yogi, maybe for a bhakti yogi, one who is engaged in bhakti, This Nirjana Bhajana, this secluded, going to a secluded place is called Nirjana Bhajana. That Nirjana Bhajana is not for neophytes. It is for advanced devotees who engage in Smaranam. They can go and do Nirjana Bhajana. For neophytes, we have to be absolutely in the midst of other devotees and practice bhakti. Even a very advanced devotee like Bharat Maharaj, because of his Nirjana Bhajana, he was affected. No devotee association, and he fell down. What to say, what to tell about us? So we should never try to do this Nirjan Bhajan. We should always practice bhakti in the midst of devotees. Because devotees will then guide us. We'll see if we are doing something wrong, they will correct us, etc. And we will never take a wrong direction, wrong path. Also, please note this eating. Of course, initially, when people are new in Krishna consciousness, we encourage them to eat uh, more than required so that they become completely satisfied with prasadam and give up their habit of eating non-prasadam. But as we make progress in bhakti, yukta hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, everything has to be yukta, ideal, appropriate, as much as required. And here, Prabhupada is saying that one should eat half of what one actually otherwise has the capacity to eat. Both spiritually and materially, this is good. Like I said, as per Ayurveda, only half of the stomach has to be full with food. Remaining quarter for water, quarter for air. So this will avoid indigestion and disease. And of course, spiritually also, because we will become more controlled. While we might be honoring prasadam today, but still there is sense gratification. For example, if suppose say we are given the same prasadam 3 times a day, every day, whatever is cooked once in the morning, same thing has to be eaten 3 times. How many of us will be happy with this? You'll say, oh no, morning only I ate that. But it's prasadam, it's mercy. No, I want different mercy. I want new mercy or something like that. So we still do sense gratification. Slowly, steadily, we should come out of all this. We can't, this can't be achieved overnight. But slowly, steadily, we should understand the right path, the right standards, right way of practice. And we should aim towards that, move towards that, and not remain on the lower platforms itself. Even after so many years in bhakti, we can't be eating for gratifying ourselves. That means we have actually not honored prasadam at all, because if you honor prasadam, automatically there is gnana and vairagya. So we will develop, we will only look at prasadam in a very, as mercy, not as food for gratifying my senses. Ahimsa satyam asteyam yavad artha parigraha brahmacharyam tapashaucham swadhyaya purusharchanam. One should practice non-violence and truthfulness, should avoid thieving, and be satisfied with possessing as much as he needs for his maintenance. He should abstain from sex life, perform austerity, be clean, study the Vedas, and worship the supreme form, the supreme personality of Godhead. The word Purusharchanam in this verse means worshipping the supreme personality of Godhead, especially the form of Lord Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed by Arjuna that Krishna is the original Purusha or personality of Godhead, Purusham Shashvatam. Therefore, in yoga practice, one not only must concentrate his mind on the person of Krishna, but must also worship the form or deity of Krishna daily. Manmana bhava madbhakto. So one must concentrate mind on Krishna. So this concentration of mind starts with concentrating on Nama, and then it progresses towards concentrating on Rupa, then concentrating on Guna, and finally concentrating on Leela. And this is how we have to make progress. And alongside, one must also worship the deity form of Krishna. This is very important because it will develop attachment to the Lord by engaging in Archa Vigraha Seva. So those who are qualified, Brahmin initiated devotees should definitely engage in Archa Vigraha Seva because then the conception that the Lord is a person becomes more clearly fixed in our heart. And also it is said that, when somebody is naturally so much attached to their deities, then Smaranam becomes easier. Remembering Krishna. Remembering Krishna becomes easier. A brahmachari practices celibacy, controlling his sex life. One cannot enjoy unrestricted sex life and practice yoga. This is a rascaldom. So-called yogis advertise that one can go on enjoying as one likes and simultaneously become a yogi. But this is totally unauthorized. It is very clearly explained here that one must observe celibacy. Of course, this celibacy is not only for brahmacharis, it is also for grihasthas. Brahmacharya means that one leads his life simply in relationship with Brahman or in full Krishna consciousness. Those who are too addicted to sex life cannot observe the regulations which will lead them to Krishna consciousness. Sex life should be restricted to persons who are married. Person whose sex life is restricted in marriage is also called a brahmachari. This is important for grihasthas. This will be restricted, meaning it must be engaged in only when there is an intention to get a child, not otherwise. It's very clear, right? I mean, many people actually, there is debate about this also in ISKCON, saying that no, it's okay if it is only with, if sex life is engaged with only with one's wife. No, it is restricted even in marriage. What is the restriction? Only for producing children. That's all. Otherwise, this propensity to enjoy sex life will not end at all, because this is, Prabhupada says that it is the itching of the skin, right? And this itching of the skin will never go. It will never go. When will it go? When there is a burden coming from that. Oh, I'm too attached to sex life. That means that I have to produce children. And who's going to take care of all these children? Oh, no. So then I will abstain myself. Now, if you don't, if this is the path, this is what Vedic path of Prabhupada says, family planning, natural family planning. This is because you can't take care of so many children, right? So automatically you will abstain, restrict. But now with all these contraceptives, etc., it's just become unrestricted sense enjoyment. That's all. And when we talk about things like this, though Prabhupada is so clearly saying, if we say, people will say, no, this is all too much, too strict. Who can live like this? Yogis have to live like this. If you think we are devotees, we have to live like this. If you think we are not devotees, we can live however we want. It doesn't matter. Or if you don't want to become devotees, then we can live however we want. This is for those who are serious about Krishna consciousness. Like I was in one's forum where this question came up, and one of the other co-speakers in that forum, he just like outrightly rejected this, saying that no, this is all, it's not mentioned like that in Prabhupada's books. Why is it not mentioned? It's so clearly mentioned. Anyway, we have to be clear. If we are reading Prabhupada's books, we won't have any confusion about these things. If you want to forget this statement, for example, right, and just say that, okay, this brahmacharya is only for brahmacharis. We can just remove this statement from Bhagavatam, right? But no, Prabhupada has specifically mentioned. The word asteyam is also very important for a yogi. Asteyam means to refrain from theft. In the broader sense, everyone who accumulates more than he needs is a thief. Why was this required? Again, see, Prabhupada is not putting these statements just like that. Probably we could have just understood saying that, okay, yeah, this is directly meaning theft, like thief, really one who is stealing from others. And we could have just said, okay, I am not engaging in theft. Now, Prabhupada says, broader sense, everyone who accumulates more than he needs is a thief. So we cannot just, again, remove this statement from the purport. So he's saying anybody who's accumulating more is a thief. So if we are accumulating more, we should understand we are a thief. I mean, this is the purport of the statement here. How can we interpret it differently or say that no, I am somehow above all this? Yeah, that is only if we are on the spiritual platform. We are above all this because then we'll be using that money for Krishna. We'll accumulate more and I will use that more for Krishna's service. But otherwise, we are a thief. We are thieves. According to spiritual communism, one cannot possess more than he needs for his personal maintenance. This is the important thing. It's not that we should earn more, not earn more at all. We should absolutely earn more and give that more to Krishna. That is the law of nature. Anyone who accumulates more money or more possessions than he needs is called a thief. Nectar of instruction, also Rupa Goswami says this. And one who simply accumulates wealth without spending for sacrifice or for worship of the person of God, it is a great thief. Huh? He's a great thief without spending. But we spend little and we accumulate more, we are also some form of thief. That's what Prabhupada means here, right? One who does not give at all is a great thief. One who gives little but accumulates him more for himself is also a thief. Swadhyaya means reading the authorized Vedic scriptures. Even if one is not Krishna conscious and is practicing the yoga system, he must read standard Vedic literatures in order to understand. Performance of yoga alone is not sufficient. Narottam Das Thakur, a great devotee and acharya in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara Sampradaya, says that all spiritual activity should be understood from three sources: Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Chitite Kariya Aikya, Nai Koriyo Manasa. These three guides are very important for progress in spiritual life. Spiritual master prescribes standard literature for the prosecution of the yoga of devotional service, and he himself speaks only from scriptural reference. Therefore, reading standard scriptures is necessary for executing yoga. So, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra must be aligned. One should read Shastra. Guru will direct us to read Shastra. He will also speak according to Shastra. And Santas or saintly persons also speak according to Shastra. And all the three messages from all the three should be same. Practicing yoga without reading is simply a waste of time. This is true for devotees as well. Why simply waste of time? Because we don't even know what we are doing. Of course, if somebody very, very sincerely takes up to the process of bhakti yoga and is not a person with not some very simple villager or somebody who can't read, right? But sincerely, at least that person will hear. If we don't have taste for reading or hearing, then we are simply wasting time, according to Prabhupada. At least we should have taste for hearing Mahamantra. If you have taste for hearing Mahamantra, then it's great. But if you don't have taste for hearing Mahamantra, if you don't have taste for hearing or reading Shastra, then it's a very, very dangerous position. Prabhupada is saying it's simply a waste of time. Maunam sadasana jayah Thairyam prana jayashanaihi pratyaharas chendriyanam vishayan manasaradi. One must observe silence, acquire steadiness by practicing different yogic postures. This is for Ashtanga Yoga. Control the breathing of the vital air, again, pranayama. Withdraw the senses from sense objects and just concentrate the mind on the heart. The yogic practices in general and Hatha Yoga in particular are not ends in themselves. They are means to the end of attaining steadiness. So Prabhupada is simply saying all these other forms of yoga are only to come to the platform of steadiness. That's all. Nothing more. After that, one has to engage in bhakti. First, one must be able to sit properly, asana. Then mind and attention will become steady enough for practicing yoga. Gradually, one must control the circulation of vital air, pranayama. And with such control, he will be able to withdraw senses from sense objects. So this is a mechanical process of controlling sense and sense objects by controlling prana. In the previous verse, it is stated that one must observe celibacy. Most important aspect of sense control is controlling sex life. That is called brahmacharya. By practicing the different sitting postures and controlling the vital air, one can control and restrain the senses from unrestricted sense enjoyment. All yoga, the basic goal is Indriya Samyama of all yoga processes. And then one comes to Indriya Samyama, then he achieves Brahman. But then the real activity of yoga starts, which is devotional service. But even as devotees, we should understand that we should come to the stage of controlling our senses. We should anyway also come to Brahmabhuta, which is Nishta. When one comes to the stage of Nishta, automatically he should be able to control his senses, mind and senses. So then actually we can concentrate. We can concentrate the mind on the heart. Otherwise, the mind is concentrating on various useless material things. So we should understand this whole chanting process is about concentration. Chanting is not that is why it cannot be a mechanical process. We cannot just we can say I record my chanting once and I'll keep playing it. No, because it's a active, alive, live process, right? Where we are trying to concentrate our mind on the nama. So that for that we should be only if we are able to withdraw ourselves from sense objects. Only then we can concentrate mind on the nama. For which again Shravanam is important, association is important, mindful seva is important, all of this is important. But eventually, what is the result of all this? The result of all this is that we should be able to do manmana bhava mad bhakto. We should be able to think about Krishna 24/7 in our heart. It's not an external activity, it's an internal activity. And the way to trigger that in Kali Yuga is chanting. As soon as you start chanting, automatically Krishna's name comes, then Krishna's form comes, Krishna's qualities comes, Krishna's pastimes come. And then we are able to concentrate the mind on Krishna. That is the goal. Now we are thinking simply doing that 16 rounds is my goal. No, 16 rounds chanting is a means to this remembrance of Krishna. Ultimately, the whole idea is Ante Narayana Smriti. Smriti has to happen. Remembrance has to happen. Process of chanting enables the remembrance. And that is the reason why chanting is considered as a very most important activity. Because see, if you have to read, okay, you have to have scriptures with you. Okay, today we have digital, right? But we have to be in a proper state of mind. And we should ideally be hearing in association with devotees, etc., etc., right? But chanting can be done anywhere. We can't take Shastra, we can't take a book. Many people have this bad habit of taking mobile phone into the bathroom, and it's not good. And reading scriptures, etc., etc. No, I mean it's not different. Just because it's digital doesn't mean that you can take it anywhere, right? So there are certain rules and regulations to be followed when it comes to other Shastra. But Nama can be taken anywhere, because by taking the Nama, the place also becomes purified, even if we are sitting in a bathroom. Right? So Nama is so powerful. Namakari Bahuda. Nija Sarva Shaktis. Anyway, the idea is eventually we should be able to concentrate the mind on Krishna. That's the idea. And all yoga processes are actually helping us to reach there. Swadrishnyānāmekadeshe manasa pranadharanam vaikuntha leelabhidhyanam samadhanam tathatmanaha. Fixing the vital air and the mind in one of the 6 circles of vital air circulation within the body. Thus, concentrating one's mind on the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord is called Samadhi or Samadhana. There are 6 circles of vital air circulation within the body. The first circle is within the belly. Second circle, these are called chakras. The second circle is in the heart. Third is in the area of lungs. Oh no, there's something else. Area of lungs. Okay. Fourth is on the palate. Fifth is between the eyebrows. And the highest Agna chakra, is above the brain. One has to fix his mind and the circulation of the vital air and thus think of the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. See, the idea of fixing the mind is eventually to be able to think about the pastimes of the Lord. It is never mentioned that one should concentrate on the impersonal or void. It is clearly stated, Vaikuntha Leela. Leela means pastimes. Unless the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead has transcendental activities, where is the scope for thinking of these pastimes? It is through the process of devotional service, chanting and hearing, see, of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that one can achieve this concentration. And that is the reason we have to hear, we have to read. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord appears and disappears according to his relationship with different devotees. Vedic literatures contain many narrations of the Lord's pastimes, including Battle of Kurukshetra, and historical facts relating to the life and precepts of devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and Amrish Maharaj. One need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in its thought. See, then he will be in samadhi. Prabhupada is clearly saying one need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in thought, in its thought. Then he will be in samadhi. Samadhi is not an artificial bodily state. It is a state achieved when the mind is virtually absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is samadhi. So when we are doing shravanam, if our mind is not going anywhere else, then we are in samadhi. But we are in samadhi for a limited amount of time. Now we have to achieve 24 by bar 7 samadhi. That is a goal. That is a goal. Today, if we think about it, it might appear like impossible. 24 hours. We're not able to do 24 minutes, 24 seconds. But eventually we will be able to do that because bhakti is so powerful. It's not actually our qualification. It's simply the power of the process of bhakti. If followed properly, followed as per instructions given, we will absolutely achieve it. We see already so many devotees in ISKCON who are 24 bar 7 completely absorbed in the Supreme Lord. Absorbed in Supreme Lord doesn't mean that they don't do any activities. Everything that they are doing is the reflection of that absorption or is an expression of that absorption. And yes, also very senior devotees, they also find time to even do Nirjan Bhajan. Right? But that's not for, like I said, early stage devotees like us. That is for very advanced devotees. But that will happen. That has to happen. Because today we are engaged in activity. Activity sometimes is also done in Rajoguna. We're just running around. It's okay. It's better than doing material activities in Rajoguna. So if you're doing bhakti in Rajoguna, the Rajas will gradually become purified and will come to Sattva. And when we are in Sattva, we don't have to necessarily engage in activity. We can even sit and simply meditate on the Lord and his pastimes. But this is Samadhi. This is the state of Samadhi. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Yeah. Or maybe I'll do this one. एतैरन्यैश्च पथिभिर्मनोदुष्टम् असत्पथं बुद्ध्या युञ्जीत शनकैर् जितप्राणो ह्यतन्त्रितः. By these processes or any other true process, one must control the contaminated, unbridled mind, which is always attracted by material enjoyment, and thus fix himself in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So clear. It's very, very clear. Simple one statement. Clear of our goal, of our purpose of bhakti. Control uncontaminated, unbridled mind, which is always attracted by material enjoyment, and fix himself in the thought of Supreme Lord. General yoga process entails observing the rules and regulations, practicing the different sitting postures, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, etc. And then thinking of the Supreme Person of Godhead in his Vaikuntha pastimes. This is the general process of yoga. The same concentration can be achieved by other recommended processes Therefore, other methods can also be applied. Essential point is that the mind which is contaminated by material attraction has to be bridled, controlled, tamed. It is unbridled like a horse. It is unbridled, untamed. It has to be bridled, it has to be tamed and concentrated on the Supreme Person of Godhead. It cannot be fixed on something void or impersonal. For this reason, so-called yoga practices of voidism and impersonalism are not recommended in any standard yoga shastra. The real yogi is the devotee. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmanam. Because his mind is always concentrated. See again. Devotee's mind is always concentrated on the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada here is not saying on the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He makes it very clear. Devotee always concentrated on the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the topmost yoga system. Oh, what is this? It's still going on. Okay, stop here. Any comments, questions? Okay. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.